We are in, on, and live, I hope. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I hope this is all working well. Had a bit of an audio issue on this side, so let me know if you can hear everything okay in the comments. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. M. Technic, Thomas Burnett, Justin Bailey, NATO, Clive, Cheetown. Welcome, everyone, to the show. It's been a crazy week for all of us, I'm sure. Oops, I always hit that damn button. Here we go. A lot has been going on. This week has been insane. We've had auctions, we've had breaking news, and we're going to cover some of that in this stream tonight. It'd be nice to chat about the new crowned king of the auction. Should be quite interesting to look at. I'm just saying hi to everyone. Javier, welcome. Welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing? Can you type 1 in the comments if you can hear me okay, and if everything sounds good? That would be killer. What's everyone wearing? What's everyone drinking? I hope you can hear me. Okay, this is good. This is good. Thank you. Right, so where to begin? This stream was going to start with just a discussion about tourbillons this evening, which we can still do, of course. But, of course, the breaking news of this Grandmaster Chime suddenly hit the scenes, and it's insane. It really is a smartwatch of note. Cheetown, thank you for the super chat. Cheers to no brokers, pokers, begathons. Yeah, no begging here, guys. We're going to be chatting about watches for the next 2 hours, depending on how long this goes on for. Welcome, everyone. Fauzi, welcome. Blue Shirt Buddha, Turkey Vulture. Good evening. Good morning. I don't know where you guys are in the world. Ray, welcome. So, what do you guys think of this Master Chime? It's not exactly a watch that you wear, but what's cool, and I think what I'll do is the first 20, 15 minutes or so of this, we'll run through this watch, because that's basically the title of the stream. I read an article. This was published July the 1st, 2019. Just a quick take on this watch as it was launched. This is probably the best photo to look at. And what was interesting when it was produced, the whole idea behind this was that this piece was made in homage to some of the original Grandmaster Chimes that were made a few years ago. But this one was made very differently. Clive, thank you for the super chat. Could I make it 3 hours? We'll see. I don't have coffee tonight. I think I'm drinking a Pinotage, as far as I know. Only got a small glass. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if people join in and all the rest. Jean-Claude Beaver, welcome. Freddie Turner, welcome. Justin Bailey, Pim. Okay, so Lawrence, thank you for joining. So we're looking at this watch. The premise behind it, which was fascinating actually, is that this is one of a handful, if I'm not mistaken. This might be the only one that was made in steel. And Patek basically designed and created this piece for a collector. They kind of worked on all the different tiers that they knew would make this watch a real seller, an award-winning seller. Stainless steel, salmon dial, and practically all complications you could think of. Jimmy, welcome. Reed Cruikshank, Jeremiah, Dan Radke, thank you for the super chat, brother. Really appreciate it. Thomas Burnett, I think I said hi already. Welcome, everyone. So, Patek tried to hit everything on the head with this watch. Stainless steel, salmon dial, and just crazy complications. And I was just thinking about how cool this part of the dial is, as it stands. It has basically everything you'd need. You have a day, date, month, year, quarters, 24-hour scale. I'm pretty sure this is time telling, as it is. So just this side alone is pretty sweet. It has everything you would need, right? And then we jump to the other end and we've got, I mean, we know it's the Grandmaster Chime, which means it has a minute repeater. It has an alarm setting. And if you look in the corners, you have all these different layouts. You've got RAH, you've got SGP. I think those are separate settings you can adjust for. You know, you've got a power reserve in the corner. It's just bonkers. Okay, it is a bonkers. It's the smartest smartwatch of the mechanical kind of realm you can get. And I'm sure we know that it just sold for 31 million Swiss francs, which basically equates to about $31 million, if I'm not mistaken. And it kind of smashes every record on, in the world at this point in time. So it's crazy. One hell of an auction, and just imagine buying a watch for $31 million. I mean, geez, I'd be buying a house personally, but except it's not wearable, Lawrence, which means, yeah, that's true. Hey, it's wearable. I mean, it's just not, it's not up to everyone's taste. And so this was the original report when it arrived. And just scrolling down to the bottom, you can look at some nice high-res pictures of the dial. I love that they incorporated the only one. I think Thomas Burnett mentioned this a second ago. It's literally the only one, since it is a one-off piece. You've got your little alarm bell indicator. I love the Breguet numerals, the Breguet styled hands. I mean, it's just nuts. The watch is just nuts. I'm looking at a Hodinkee article. So if you'd like to see more of this, pull up, just type in, the reference is 6300A. It's the reference of this watch. It's just, it's insane. So if we look at the movement and all the details, I mean, it's just a mess of mechanics. It's unreal. And then we get to the actual, let's get back up here. We get to the actual functions: hours, minutes, seconds, perpetual calendar with date, day, month, leap year, year, and moon phase, 24-hour hand, day-night indicator, grand sonnerie, petit sonnerie, minute repeater, date repeater, alarm. I mean, it's just like how do they manage to fit all of this into one package? It is just out of this world. So it's not exactly the most wearable watch in the world, but I mean, just for the sake of complication's sake, it's unreal. I'm missing a few chats. I'm just saying hi. BS, welcome. Carl, welcome to the show. Pim, said hi to all you guys. Sean, Patrick, thank you for joining. Freddie Turner, Justin Bailey. Yeah, so this is the grand revealing. Hoplite, thank you. Can you imagine just, scratching it? It's made of steel. It's one of the only ones made in steel, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, this was the original listing of it, the posting, and they said estimated price was going to go between $2 million and $2.5 million. Talk about a poor estimation. And then we jump to the watch as it sold, and I think this was the day. This auction apparently was called the only one, I think, and this was the show. The watch's sale was the show, and I think this was written by James Stacey. No, Cole Pennington. Also a Hodinkee article. They just have the best quick write-ups to look through. It's cool. So you guys can look it up as I'm running through this. And talking about wearability, it looks quite wearable, hey? For a watch that looks pretty inspired by a pocket watch. Yeah, apparently it's sold to an Asian gentleman. I don't know where in the world, but it's just mad. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Just ridiculous what the final result was. And they've got, the styling, the finishing, some very cool photos of this. Just keeping up the comments while I run through this. Everyone's chatting. Yeah, it's just mad. Just mad. Jin bought the watch. Yeah, maybe. I mean, geez, it's quite an investment, Jin. Love the photos. I can't say it's exactly wearable. I mean, this really is a museum piece. It needs to be put into a safe somewhere. I really think the back of the watch is more interesting than the front in many ways, just because it's so simple and streamlined. Just that alone, oh, geez. I'm warming up to the show, so I might be a bit sloppy with the magic mouse to begin with, but we'll get there eventually. Come on, work with me. Oh, Hodinkee, break my heart. That's pretty good. The detail on the dial, I think, is so nice. Love the symmetry, love the date, the actual date in the middle. It's pretty cool. So everyone's just saying hi to everyone. It's been a busy week for me, and I think a lot of people on the side. Sure. Just getting this stream prepared for the weekend was rough. Just the last few hours, actually. Too cool. So this watch is pretty insane. The salmon dial is beautiful. I mean, you can love or hate the watch, but the salmon dial is just something really to add. Pim, thank you so much. €5. How big is the chance that Patek was backing both bidders and actually paying for the new record? Wow, it's one hell of a conspiracy theory. You know what? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Patek are big on buying back their own pieces, right? They have their own museum, so they are very much involved with the buying process. So, you know, could very well be onto something. James, welcome to the show. James G. Arthur is a legend, everyone. He is such a cool guy. Robert, Derek, Truth Fears Guilty, welcome. So if you've missed the beginning of this, we've just been talking through this piece, looking at some gorgeous pictures of it. Absolute record setter. Insane. So cool looking watch. I mean, it's not a wearable watch, but it is a work of art. It's something you admire just for its presence, for what it is. Stainless steel, salmon dial, very important for Patek collectors. Patek designed this watch around the idea of it becoming a one and only collector's piece and paying tribute to the original Grandmaster Chime, which was a big deal back in the day. My biggest fears. Thank you for the comment. So yeah, we're going to stick on this for a while, or we could jump to some other news. We've heard recently, I'll just keep this up. I'll keep these tabs open. Seiko not participating in Basel World come 2020. That was a big surprise that suddenly landed. Did it sell for more than this authentic Paul Newman Daytona that was his? Scott SJ, it sold for 31 million Swiss francs. So basically double of what the Paul Newman Daytona went for. So this watch, I don't think there'll be another record breaker near this for a while. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. 31 million, I'd be buying myself a really, really nice house somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So it's a great looking watch. I really dig it. Just keeping up with the comments. Baselworld is dead. Yeah, Robert, we're going to go to that now. Talk about Grand Seiko not participating in Baselworld. That is quite a blow. I mean, I have this feeling in the back of my mind that in the end, it's going to be Rolex. It's going to be like the Rolex show. Rolex are like dedicated to the Baselworld show. So I'm sure they're going to be the last ones on the ship when it goes. But it's kind of sad in a way because trade shows, geez, that was a quick article. Thanks, Jack. Trade shows are important for the experience. You know, the industrial design world, the big trade show, just referring back to the history, the Crystal Palace, that was a huge, during the Victorian era, Crystal Palace opening up and burning down. Let me just pull it up quickly. Might as well, since I've got Google here. Jeez, getting myself awake here, 11 o'clock. So the Crystal Palace was this huge event. I'm sure most of you know. It was just this gorgeous, gorgeous glass exterior, huge event that innovators from all over the world came and presented their ideas. And what happened in the end was that it burnt down, but the Crystal Palace really set the whole idea in motion. And Baselworld is very much that for the watch world. So seeing all of these companies pull away for digital sources, I mean, the fact that you can now market everything online, it is the end of an era, and it is quite sad because there's something about seeing things in the flesh. But then at the same time, you can't blame the companies. You have to blame Baselworld themselves for just the sheer amount of prices they're charging everyone to work at the shows. I mean, the prices of the floor, the prices of accommodation and everything else, it all pays into that. So yeah, it is a very sad thing, but I don't know where Baselworld is going to go. James, yeah, may not survive 2021. No idea. Really don't know. But it is pretty sad when we consider, again, referring back, Crystal Palace was a big thing, started the whole industry idea. So that's the next news. Seiko leaving Baselworld. And then finally, the Grand Prix of horology. The Audemars Piguet ultra thin perpetual, was it annual calendar, perpetual calendar? This basically won the show. And I think it's pretty deserving of that award. I mean, it's ultra thin, and if I pull up some good pictures of it, it really is ultra thin. I mean, so this watch won the show. This got all the big awards, and I love the symmetry. I think symmetry with a calendar is just something to behold. The color, size, presence, it's well deserving of that award. And there were lots of other pieces, but Forbes were the one who were the page that really covered the article, the whole process, and it's just full of adverts. I can't even scroll through the Forbes page. So I'm just pulling up the actual show winner. It's a gorgeous looking watch. Surprised it doesn't have any tapisserie on the dial. So this was the show winner. And that's basically the week in review of what's been happening. And M Technic, he was one of the guys commenting a second ago. There he is. Brando's GMT, Tuesday auction. Just mentioned it as I was saying it. I did a whole video about the Brando GMT a while back. Spoke about the psychological nature behind the watch and everything else. I think it's really cool. Would it be nice if the watch inspired a movement in many ways? Because I mean, it's just, I think it's so cool without the bezel. I can't believe my internet's actually lagging on that side. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I did this whole write-up and this sort of analysis of the psychology behind the Brando watch. The fact that the bezel being removed is kind of like him being unchained, and this whole, it was a weird write-up, but it was really cool, just thinking a bit more psychologically about what the watch represented in the film. The story goes that Brando was told he couldn't wear the Rolex on the set, or something along the lines of they didn't want Rolex to be affiliated to the film. I'm sure there were some legalities. So he removed the bezel, he engraved his name on the back of it. It's pretty funny. I mean, that's just some beautiful work right there. That's some craftsmanship right there. Gorgeous looking watch. I think that looks so cool without the bezel. Really adds that explorer vibe. And speaking of explorers, okay, one more thing. What is the name of the guy who, hold on a second. I'm just going to be checking something on this other computer that I'm looking at here. Give me a second. There was a brilliant comment on an Explorer video that I worked on this week. Belonged to Shepard, Oliver Shepard. Okay, you guys you're going to really enjoy this. So I was earlier this week I did a video on the Explorer 1 and the Explorer 2, the 1016 and the 1655, and it kind of died. I think it should be on the side of the page if you have a look. No, if you scroll down the screen, you should see it as a suggestion. The greatest Rolex Explorer. I looked at the 1016 and 1655 and sort of compared them, seeing what I liked about them both. And one of the commenters on the video told me, oh, geez, the name has just slipped my mind again. Let me get his name up again. Sorry about this. Oliver Shepard. Oliver Shepard requested an Explorer to be used for his trip. He did an expedition, and his watch, this is the watch. It was commented by the name of Julie. I won't disclose her surname for anonymity. This Explorer was made, less than 4 made, okay? Basically taking a GMT dial, putting it on an original 1655 case. It sold for auction $35,000 in 2005. So Oliver Shepard was an explorer. He went across the Arctic and everything else. How cool is this watch? Have you ever seen this piece before? Really, sorry, joking on some wine. Really is something to look into. Check that out. Love the bezel. Love the integration, the arrows, everything else. Too cool. I've got to wake myself up, guys. 11:30 almost, this side of the world. Mark P, welcome. MG, I can never get your name right. MGMAs, welcome. Derek. So this is the original Explorer, one of the original 1655s that had a GMT bezel put on it. I see Eric Bell, inspired by the prototype Tudor P01. Quite possibly. We can pull that up in a second as well. So just to recap, Brando GMT going up for auction on Tuesday. I'd be very interested in the price of this, because I don't know what it would rate as. When we think of, I'd actually be interested, everyone in the chat, if you could comment what you think a watch like this would go for. Okay, it's Brando's GMT, but it's nothing special. It never inspired a movement. It's not the Paul Newman Daytona. So what do you think it would go for? I'm going to predict something like maybe 5 million. I don't know. So very interesting watch. I see a question, Arthur's Tube. Are you from the UK? Not originally, Arthur. I'm actually from South Africa originally. But I've been in the UK for the last 5 years. Speaking of which, I'm writing a very interesting exam at the end of the month. That's what I've been studying for over the last couple of weeks, so I haven't been very productive. Sorry, James, I missed your comment earlier. Richemont announced the brand that has had the biggest growth in their stables 2019. Can anyone guess the brand? Very good question. Everyone comment what you think. Announce the brand that they've had the biggest name. And I think what I could do to help everyone, one more time, if you've just arrived to the stream, gorgeous looking watch, 1655 case with an Explorer, with the GMT master dial, one of 4 made for Oliver Shepherd and his team to travel across the poles. Gorgeous. So what we could do is I could write in Richemont Group and just look at the watches themselves. So here is the family of Richemont, and answering the question that James has just mentioned. Okay, don't tell us yet, James. Let's try and have a thought. So we got Cartier, Van Cleef, A. Lange & Söhne, Baume & Mercier, IWC. Okay, so I think contenders. Vacheron is a contender. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure, doesn't Richemont own Omega? I don't know. I'm not very good. I'm not very good with all names. Piaget, Richard Mille. I don't know. You'd think they'd give you a better expansion of all of these details. I would imagine, just off the top of my head, here's another image. Of course, they're low res. Let's pull up something better size. I'm getting charts. Come on, people. So, of the groups that are suggested on here, geez, not working with me tonight, everyone. We'll get there eventually. We're still warming up. It's still early days. Just looking at these watches on the screen at the moment, I would imagine A. Lange & Söhne would be the big contender here. Might be completely wrong. Swatch owns Omega. Apologies. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not very good with business ownerships. So just could you clarify a bit more, James? Is this as mentioned by M Technic, percentage growth? Is it to do with sales? Is it to do with how well it's sold? I'm going to go with A. Lange & Söhne, just because I probably pronounce it wrong every time. But hey, I mean, their watches cost so much, but and I kind of think, dependent on the price of the watch that sells for, you don't have to sell many, and you get a good answer. Thanks for that, Turkey Vulture. So I'd be interested in knowing the answer. This is quite exciting to hear. Pulling back to the Brando GMT. And I've got another suggestion about a topic that we're going to look at. We're going to run into tourbillons later, because there was a question asked of me earlier in the week. So I think between JLC and A. Lange & Söhne, I'd be very interested in knowing sales growth in the group, James mentions. So yeah, sounds like an interesting result, whatever it is. I'm going to close some of these links up. I'll pull away from the AP and from Grand Seiko. We can have another look at the record-breaking Grandmaster Chime one more time, just for the sake of background. Panerai. Panerai is the watch. I can't believe it. Really? Well, I actually have a video that I prepared on Panerai. There's one watch that just came out recently that I'm really impressed by. Thank you so much for the insight, James. That is amazing, actually. Panerai, of all brands. Amazing. Okay, so that's the latest news, and we can open up a page to Panerai since we are talking about them. Let's have a look at some pieces. There's one watch, and I'll actually give you a sneak peek on the watch that I'll be discussing. I think it'll be next week. It's called the Verde Militare. Basically, verde meaning green. Get a load of that. I basically say in the video, I prepared the video already. It's all finished. I basically say, if you can bring out a watch that's in olive drab, it appeals to me. You have my vote. And I think this has got to be one of the coolest looking Panerais that has come out in recent years. Too cool. I love the green. Oh, and especially because this watch is now pushed down to 42 mils. Much more wearable, right? I mean, for more average sized wrists. So I think this looks awesome. There's going to be a video on this coming out next week. Too cool. I need to do more research into Panerai. There's so many details to cover with regards to the radiomere, the submersibles, the luminors. But here's the watch. I think this came out just recently, actually. It came out this week, if I'm not mistaken. I just love olive drab. You can't go wrong. Is Panerai opposed to left-hand drive? Interesting question. It'd be a nice idea for them to do it because these crown guards are insane. I mean, I wear my watches on my right wrist, so it doesn't bother me, but I can imagine with most people it can get in the way. Really dig it. Anyway, I really think it's cool. So there's some more interesting content coming the way this evening because I had a very interesting request to discuss tourbillons in a video. And I said to the guy, it would be cool to get the audience to comment on tourbillons they would like if they had just a bazillion amounts of dollars to spend. And it would be a very cool conversation to hear your suggestions because he is on the ball to get a tourbillon, but he doesn't know what to get. And we'll get to that in a second. Just looking at Turkey Vulture, the 34 mil olive oyster perpetual. Oh, I love the watch. Just pulled up again. This watch appears every single episode, I think. Every single episode I feature this, any live stream, I should say, because I think the size, everything just works so well. I'm trying to make it a mission of mine to get high-res images as much as possible. So if I delay the stream by a little bit, just pulling up better res pictures, that for me, if I could get my first Rolex, I think this would be for me. That is just sublime, I think. 34 mil, nice contrasting orange with an olive drab finish. It just works so well with clothing. I think it would be so versatile, say that much. Frankenwatch, thank you. Truth Feels Guilty, I think guys are just having... James Dean wore a 34 mil. Thank you, Nasty Vinyl. Kun 70. I'm not going to... I love your name, actually. I really love your name. Freddie Turner. Yeah, gorgeous watch. Tom Austin, welcome. It must be really early in the morning where you are. Thank you for joining. We've just run through the, if anyone's joining now, we've just run through the Grandmaster Chime that was released. And now we're just bouncing around ideas. But we're going to get onto tourbillons in a second because got some interesting ideas that I'd like to share, and I'd be interested in hearing your thought about them. Richard Lange, Pour le Mérite tourbillon. Good Lord. Going to have a look at that. Just can you remind me again, Bausch's, I'm useless with names. Can you remind me again a little bit later and we can have a look at it? So, love the olive, love the finish. So I think this is a really cool piece that Panerai has introduced, and I think James mentioned that he agrees. He thinks it's quite cool. Sorry. And then Thomas Burnett mentioned that he doesn't like it. So, yeah. The submersible is a little bit polarizing. I don't think it's as relatable as the radiomere. The radiomere is much simpler. I mean, this is just typical Panerai with the sandwich dial and everything else. So in that respect, it would be nice to see an amalgamation between the two. If they blended the olive dial with the radiomere style, with a bezel and everything else. But there's something about the language of this watch that's quite appealing to me. They know how to do skeleton hands right. I cover this in the video. It's coming out next week. I'll emphasize again. I love the way they've done the sword hands on these pieces. The fact that they're so simple, they're not in your face. It lessens the overall presence of the hand, but also easy to read, legible, simple. Anyway, talking about Rambo's Panerai. Yeah, there's so many references of Panerai out there. It's too cool. Okay, so where are we going to jump to? Got the Panerai up. That was a cool release. That's a watch that I'm going to be speaking about. I've got 3 videos prepared already. Using this new audio format, it's let me prepare videos a lot faster. Because I'm studying for an exam, it's not the easiest to write and prepare a video over the course of 10 hours. So anyway, one more look at this Grandmaster. I think I'll just leave it up somewhere. I'll just leave this page up for anyone who's interested if they want to see it. Just comment in the chat while the stream's going if you want to see it again, and I'll just switch over to it. Okay, so I was asked to discuss tourbillons, and the owner, or the person who wanted to know, he sent me some photos of a very interesting watch. So this is what he has in his humble collection. 2 watches that he has in his collection, of a few others. He has Nomos and everything else. But these aren't the highest res. I took these off Instagram, so it's not the best. Got a little constellation. I think I'm not very good with, it's a Seamaster pipe hand, but I don't know if it is a constellation. But then on the right-hand side, we have a Lunga 1. Okay, and this is not just any Lunga 1. This is, in fact, the first Lunga 1. This was, I think it was originally introduced in 95, if I'm not mistaken. There's only 300 of them, so to say, round about that amount. And this is his Grail watch. And the first thing I kind of said to him, I can't get rid of this cursor. The first thing I said to him was, why would you need a tourbillon after having Globemaster? Thank you, Tom Austin and Jean-Claude. I said, why would you need a tourbillon if you have a Gen 1 Lunga 1? It's just too cool. This, and I thought it was a honey gold case at first. But this is just standard yellow gold. And again, one of 300 or so in existence. And I said, instantly, I said, it must have doubled in value by now. And he said, yeah, pretty much. It was, I can't remember the numbers. He was telling me in Deutschmark how much it cost. But how cool is that watch? An original Lunga 1. So he's basically saying to me that he would like to go out with a bang and bring up a really cool piece to end off his collecting. I mean, the Lunga 1 is just superb for that reason. And I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. The first thing that really comes to my mind when I think of, how am I going to spell this? Get Google up, Vacheron. It's very hard to tourbillon, to think and talk and type at the same time. The first watch that really comes to my mind is Vacheron for tourbillons. And I think it's down to the way that the actual tourbillon is integrated into the case. Where's a good picture? I love the Maltese cross integration into the tourbillon. I think it's just so charming. G-Town, thank you. First thought there is no end. Yeah, it's true. The whole collecting thing is nuts. Mark, thank you for joining. Remembrance service tomorrow. Yes, of course. I have a few family members that have partaken in that history. It's a big thing. Remembrance Day is a big thing here. So just catching up. James, you're about to take off to go somewhere. Yeah, Hong Kong. James, thank you so much for joining. Really is cool. Please keep in touch. I love our chats. It really means a lot. James is a legend, everyone. He's such a nice guy. Salt of the earth. Turkey Vulture. Anyway, so jumping back. Tourbillons are crazy. This is way beyond my realms of understanding. I'm by no means a movement person, but I love the small little touches like the Maltese cross integrated inside. So this was the first watch that came to mind, but since he doesn't want a dress watch, he wants something more modern. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on other pieces. RLI, Eric Bell. Jeez, that's that you hit the nail on the head there. Eh? Yeah, my dad was in the RLI, 3 Commando. But my grandparents, great grandparents, they were in the First World War, Second World War. You really hit it on the head. Well, how did you know that, Eric Bell? That is amazing. Yeah, my dad was in the Rhodesian Light Infantry a long time ago. 3 Commando, Cassavac medic. Amazing, just amazing history here. Got to take the wife out to dinner. Blue shirt, thank you for joining. I don't know how long we'll stay on to tourbillons. Not many of us really know much about them. I'm not exactly a tourbillon nut, but we can just Blancpain. Okay, I'm going to try and get this. Thank you for that, Thomas Burnett. Let's get it. Blancpain. How the? I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Oh wow, it's very slick. Very, very slick. I have seen this before. It is so simple. I mean, you think to yourself, geez, you're paying that much for a watch and that's the result. It's just a basic, extremely basic layout. Look at it. It's like, it's bare, it's empty, you know? Check it out. I think we're having a rainstorm or something. The internet is not as far. There we go, we're back. So check it out. So you've got the tourbillon at the top and you've got your minutes and then you have your hour at the corner. Pretty cool, interesting looking piece. Let's see, I'm trying to catch up with these comments. Thank you for joining again, Blue Shirt. Freddie Cherner. The gyro tourbillons, they are just mad. But again, the guy disclosed to me that he doesn't want dress watches. Since he has a Lunga 1, he doesn't exactly want a dress watch. He wants something a bit more. And Zenith, interesting, thank you, Tippy, for that, because the watch that he's really interested in, get this, is a Tag Heuer, and I can't remember it. What's the, I'm just going to say tourbillon. What was, this is the reference. I think this is it. I think this is the reference of it. Let's find a better picture for it somewhere. This was the watch he was interested in. Very similar, something along the lines of this. And I just said, why not go for a Zenith Defy if that's the case? Because it's all in a part of that group, right? Why not jump for a Zenith Defy if you want a tourbillon? But apparently they don't make integrated tourbillons. I don't know. Keeping up with this. Sorry, Neville, thank you for joining. Welcome. Ant G, great to have you here. I'm missing a lot of these chats, but I'm going to try and keep up with everyone. The 50 Fathoms tourbillon, very good suggestion, G-Town. Going to have a look at that now. So this is cool, but it's a Tag Heuer. I think if it was me wanting a watch from that group, I would be gunning for a Zenith, if anything else, a Zenith Defy. Let's just pull up a Zenith Defy. They are interesting watches, and they just have Jean-Claude Beaver's DNA all over it. I mean, it's just, that's him in the watch, you know, very skeletonized. It's a very attractive watch. I did a whole video about the El Primero, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And it really is a stunning thing. Not exactly the most legible watch to wear, but I think it has Jean-Claude Beaver's DNA throughout it, you know. Smoke Eater, thanks for the comment. Jacob and Co. Astronomia, yeah, geez, I mean, I don't know anything about Jacob and Co. I really am useless with, when it comes to this is, I'm way out of my depth with these pieces. But since we are talking about tourbillons for a change, we might as well just look at some pieces before jumping around and looking at other references. I kind of like this. It's pretty cool that they've blended that whole effect in, but for a dive watch, why would you make it a tourbillon? I guess just saying that you Oh, geez. Is everyone still here? Geez, what has been going on? I hope everyone's still here. I don't know what's just happened. My internet just crashed. I think Virgin Media just decided at 10 to 12. Has this been live the whole time? I can't believe. Has this just been hanging the whole time, and you guys have just been chatting? I'm so sorry. The internet just cut. The one time I need a solid stream, it decides, okay, we're back. Good. Apologies, everyone. That was the most bizarre thing I had ever experienced on the page. Okay, let's try and get back in. I was thinking I had to create a whole new stream and start again. Like, did the microphone just cut? I'd be interested in hearing transatlantic fiber optic tables. Yeah. We heard you swearing for 10 minutes. You being serious, Eric? Tell me the truth. I mean, I really... Oh, dear me. That's unreal. The internet just decided it's it for the night. Okay, so we're back. I don't know how long this is going to be. This is going to be a glide for a while. I don't know if it's going to stop. Anyway, get back on. I need to wake myself up. So, Glashütte original, Tourbillon, Glashütte, Tourbillon regulator. This is probably it. This is a cosmopolitan. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't know what happened. That was really irritating. A lot of you guys must have left. Sorry about that. Really didn't expect that at all. Wow, that's pretty killer. Jeez, Glashütte makes some amazing stuff. Look at that. So I'm just going to pull this up, get my head back into the game. It looks like the screen sharing is a little bit different. Let me try and fix that, make it full screen. Is it even sharing the screen? I hope it is. The first thing that went was my laptop, which has the chat going on in the corner. And I was just like, I was just thinking the laptop was having a hard time catching up. But yeah, we're back. Okay. Frankenwatch, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Jay Sykes. Pilot style. What am I wearing? I think you mentioned a second ago. Let me pull up what I've been wearing. This might be against a lot of people's likes, but I will say, did I really just, geez, open up, please. That's what I asked. So a lot of people don't like this watch. I can understand why. I'm going to do a whole video series on Jeannot as a watch. This was the watch that started my channel a couple of years back. And in the winter months, I put it on a NATO, wear it over my clothes. That's pretty much me on an everyday basis. Tonight, though, I'm wearing little Smith's Everest, as always. Put it on a oyster bracelet. I think it's such a killer looking piece. Since we were talking about 1016s the other day, this is the best I can crack of a 1016. And I really like these watches. I know there's a lot of controversy about just where they come from, the parts are sourced. I've actually been chatting to the owner, and it's going to be very interesting seeing what they're bringing out very soon. I've worn this for near 3 years at this point. It's been, well, I think up to about 3 years, and excellent wearing experience. Nothing but respectful to just the movement. The watch is 2 seconds off. I think it's 2 seconds fast a day. Really accurate, great wearing watches. I just wear them and enjoy them. I can't afford 100 grand when it comes to a mil sub, so love this little Smith's piece though, and it looks huge. I mean, my wrist is 7 inches on a good day, and you can't really get the size well on the camera. But it's the lugs, the actual length of the lugs, that make the watch look so big on the wrist. I can tell you, in person, it doesn't look as huge as it does here. There's 40 millimeters, and there's 36. You see the difference in scale and size. It's mind blow. Anyway, let me try and get back to the screen so you can look at something cool. Right, more uses, complications, and tourbillons. Yeah, BS, I think you're right. I mean, it's just, they really are just for show at the end of the day. They have no real purpose, balance. I'm so sorry about the cut. It's so irritating that the page just jumped and froze. I'd be interested in actually seeing what happened. I'm actually going to, let's see if I can scrub back a little bit and see what happened. The screen just went black. That is so funny. Jeez. Clive, will I put Hotsy on? I don't know how to do that personally. Really, I'm useless when it comes to technology. I've been able to work this out, and that's about as far as I can get. Is his Chime on? That is awesome. Wow. Welcome, everyone. Again, if you caught me at a time when the stream just decided to cut, Virgin Media had a moment where they just thought, hey, it's 11:45 on a Saturday night. Who would be using the internet? Let's just cut the guy off just when I need to use the internet for streaming. So it's great. You can have the best internet streaming, the best download speeds, the best software, the best everything to use, but the internet will still screw you over at the end of the day. Hisham, welcome. It's so cool to have you here. Breitling Navitimer, I want to have a look at that. I think Clive did a video on that earlier this week, actually. I think it's a really cool looking piece. It looks great. I mean, again, I'm not a movement junkie, so I can't tell you if it's worth its salt. But Navitimer 806, hey, that's the reference. So since I'm not a movement nut, I can't tell you if it's worth its salt. I'm interested. Maybe Clive can mention some things in the comments about the piece. Yeah, Virgin Media, what a day. You know, I haven't discussed Breitling and the Navitimer at all. I actually have put it down as my list of watches to discuss in the future. It's with regards to being a watch that pays tribute to its past, its heritage, its history. It's a hell of a cool watch. But then at the same time, using a slide rule, I can't imagine pilots in the 50s using a slide rule in a tiny aircraft, you know, a warplane and all the rest. Victor, welcome to the show. Welcome, everyone. Thomas Burnett, everyone's still here. I think I lost about 50 people on the show because the page decided to kill itself. But we're back. We're back and we're live. Really, Victor, thank you for sending me those photos of your AP. That AP is absolutely gorgeous. Victor just picked up a 15202 Royal Oak, and it's just the coolest thing. Anyway, the reason why I'm jumping back to this watch all the time is because I have a video of it coming out later next week, talking about the design and everything else. Let's pull the 15202 back up because, you know, it's the watch that everyone's lusting for but can't have. It's crazy just where the steel market has gone nowadays. And for everyone who's missed the beginning, since we are like an hour into this, hey? Let's pull up the record breaker. This is the watch that has won the watch auction realm at 31 million. I'm sure there's a few new people who've joined us tonight that we've missed out. And still even know how to use a slide rule. Carl, I'll be honest and say that I don't know how to use a slide rule. I need to learn, but I've never had the patience. I think I have seen a couple of instructional videos about it, but that's about as far as I've gone. Anyway, welcome everyone. I'm sure we've got a whole lot of new people. I can't even recognize these names, so it's great. Great having you all here. So this is the watch that won the show. Again, we'll just recap since this is the main title of the video. Why did it fetch 31 million, James? Very interesting question, and it was actually purposefully designed to fetch that kind of amount because this watch is very unique in the realm of Patek. It's paying tribute to the original Grandmaster Chime that came out a couple of years ago, all in gold. This is a one-of stainless steel with a salmon dial and all the complications you would imagine. So we know that Patek Philippe steel salmon dials, it's basically a true winner in the field. And for the collector market, I mean, since this is a one only piece, and just to tell you what it has, just at the back, I think looking at the back of the movement, day, date, month, year, leap year, 24-hour time. You jump to the front, it has a independent alarm. It has a grand sonnery minute repeater. And it's just too much to take in. It's got a moon phase. It's one of the most complicated watches. I don't think it is the most complicated, but it is the most complicated watch that Patek makes, I believe. And you can't exactly wear this watch. I mean, it's just, we can jump back to this, but I mean, this was the first half an hour of the stream earlier. We went through all the details, had some good pictures up. Anyway, so going back to Hisham's question about the Navitimer reissue, I think Clive was very interested in getting this piece, if I'm not mistaken. You know, if you are a Breitling fan and you appreciate what the Navitimer is, what it represents, then by all means, I think it's a great example. I mean, in the same vein, I think the, what was the reference? The 50 Air Commando Blancpain. This was another reissue that they brought out this year. And for my tastes, this would be the watch I'd be going for over the Navitimer, personally. I mean, I can't imagine the price difference between the two, but I don't know, there's just something about the Air Commando that speaks to me more. It looks a bit more practical in the way it represents itself as a everyday wearing watch. I mean, that is just, it's just beautiful. It's a flyback chronograph as well, so let's just let's not forget that. Blancpain makes some amazing watches. I love their stuff. But the sizes and proportions can be a problem. I think these reissues are true to form. So they are about 40 millimeters in size. Actually, here's a good reference image. Okay, it looks a little bit bigger. It's probably 45 millimeters in size. That's a pity. And again, it's the lug length. The lug length is an issue. I'm sure the lugs are about 52 mils in length over the wrist. So that could be quite a problem for the everyday wear. But as a reissue, it's pretty sweet. I think it looks cool. I'm going to catch up. Air Commando is limited to 50 pieces. Oops. Since it's a flyback chronograph, I can imagine. Yeah. The Blancpain Mil-Spec Cheetown, I think it's awesome. Should I keep this up? Since this is what the theme of the, I think it is. Might as well stay. Let's pull up. I think the Mil-Spec pieces are some of the coolest watches around as reissues go. And there's a few variants. I know some have the rads indicators on them, but this is the more generic. Let's find a better picture. This is the more generic watch with the layout of having the. I think this actually functions. The water proximity detector tells you if there's water in the case. If I'm not mistaken, this watch is also 40 millimeters in size. So how's that? Wouldn't that be cool? The fact that you can actually wear these watches instead of 45 for an average wrist, I think 40 mils. The nice thing is the lugs add a bit more presence to the wrist, so it's by no means lost. I think it's great, Cheetown. I think it's a really cool looking watch. There really need to be more watches like these out and around. I mean, there's some, again, just jumping back to the watch that everyone loves to hate. The reason why I love wearing this watch so much, I don't feel any shame wearing it because it is such a cool little tribute to a mil sub. We can't drop 100 grand on a mil sub every day, but you can drop, I don't know how much these are going for now, $1,000, something daft. But sword hands, legible, easy to read, easy to use. I keep this on a NATO strap basically all the time. And it's a great little wearing experience. I think it's cool. Really enjoy it. 40 mils, again, that golden ratio, proportion, and size. I think it's too cool. What time is it? It's midnight this side of the world. God, now that Virgin Media cutting my internet really threw me for a loop. So kind of sunk like the Titanic. I literally thought I was going to have to start a whole new stream, and I had a thumbnail prepared, and I was going to make a whole new videos pull up. I mean, that is just timeless. It's such a gorgeous watch. And the bezel, I know there's complaints about the bezel and the lug length. That's an issue as well. Since the watch was designed to be worn over a suit, I think what makes this watch so fascinating in the realms of dive watch development was that there was no brief about what these watches were going to do. But what they managed to emphasize, just visually, you can see that the bezel takes all the presence. It's there for a purpose, being used as a functioning tool. And at a time when there wasn't an idea or formula to follow with regards to the size of bezels, the size of dials, and everything else, this watch managed to hit such a good mark with its spacing and proportions. The bezel being that size communicates that tool aesthetic. It looks too cool. Just checking out everyone else. Well done, welcome, Carlos, Hisham. So, what would anyone else like to talk about? What other pieces could we look at? Let me think. Tudor. Geez, I don't know. Keeping up with Archie Luxury Corporate. Is this the Archie Luxury, the Archie Luxury? Welcome, Sir Archie Luxury, to the show. I think he's what's the time? It's midnight here. Doesn't Archie start at 1 in the morning? In an hour's time? I don't know. Anyway, guys, if you'd like to jump over to the show, by all means. This show has been a mess. It really has been a mess tonight. Virgin Media deciding to cut me out. But we're back on. Ulysses Nardon, mega yacht. Let's have a look at that. I'm so terrible with my names and spelling, so let's try. Mega yacht. Let's pull it up. Wow, that looks sweet. Check that out. Oh, I've seen this before, and it has like a tide indicator. I remember this. Yeah, this is cool. This is a really interesting piece. So it has a tide indicator. It has I think this is its tourbillon at the base in the shape of a propeller. I think it looks awesome. It's a really interesting looking watch, and it's something you don't see. I remember seeing a review of this a while back. I think Tim Mosso had it on Watchbox. I think he debuted it. But what they've done here, which is so interesting, is the anchor. The anchor being used for the power reserve. Great suggestion. Who was the guy who mentioned it? I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name. Thank you so much for the suggestion. This is really cool. Talk about, and I think what Ulysses Nardon does well is the whole idea of blending that technology side with the sports, with the function. You know, when it comes to signifying a tide, you want a moon. And the fact that they've given like a fully three-dimensional moon on the dial, I think it's great. It's really elegant. It's a nice piece of design technology involved. So just seeing what everyone else is saying. Defy 0G. I'll have a look at that now. Charm. Yeah, so guys, please, by all means, some suggestions on watches. Doesn't have to be tourbillons, doesn't have to be high-end complications. I'll probably be able to speak better with the simpler pieces, honestly. These high-end watches I'm not the best at because I'm not a movement junkie. But this watch, great suggestion. It's a gorgeous looking piece. Really love the blend. No, it looks like a seafaring watch. The cutout from the dial looks like the bow of a ship in 3 dimensions. We've got this crazy mechanical setup. So I guess when you wind the watch, the anchor raises, and it's all you see that whole movement happening in the back. It's really cool. Love the technicalities. So let's see. Gyroscopic tourbillon. Zenith tourbillon. Okay, let's have a look. Thomas Burnett, thank you for the suggestion. Let's see. Zenith gyro tourbillon. Jeez Louise. Is this a Defy that you were mentioning? I think it's a Defy. I mean, I don't know so much about pieces that incorporate such small dials with their tourbillons. I think the watches are much better when you have a large dial that fills the space. And Ulysses Nardon is the most underrated brand. It is, Victor. I think there's some stunning pieces, and we can have a look at some more of them in a second. So again, referring back to this, I don't know so much about this layout of having the tourbillon separate to the dial. I think it's much more interesting when the dial is a part of it. You know, that disconnect. And again, I mean, how can you read a dial that small on the fly? But again, you're not buying these watches to read. And I mean, they just go nuts. This is I think this is a 0G he was talking about. You've got a world within a world. You've got a globe, hand-painted enamel, the whole deal. Laurent Ferrier, Grand Sport tourbillon. Geez, we're going mad. Jay Sykes, Optimus Prime, Carlos SS. Great having you here, Carlos. I don't know if I said hi. Thank you for joining us. Oh, they're just crazy. This is a JLC, another gyro tourbillon. I guess this is also a minute repeater. I love the skeleton minute repeaters. I think there's something so charming about having the full finish on the outside where you can see the mechanics, you can see the hands impacting. I mean, it's so clean, heat blued. Can you get better? This is called the Westminster, so I'm guessing it's, oh, okay, this is a really, really fancy piece. I remember this. So it actually chimes like Big Ben, if I'm not mistaken, and it has the full package. JLC, they hit it out the park every time with their stuff. This is absolutely insane. And in fact, I prefer this over this any day. Not Ulysses Nardon. I think this JLC with all of its functions, it's got day, date, month, year, and it's got Big Ben as a tourbillon, as a miniature piece with a gyro tourbillon inside. I think these are very rare. There's only about 5 of them. So crazy looking watch. I've seen this before. I think there's a few videos of it around. So I highly suggest, if you get a chance, look up the JLC Master Grand Tradition Westminster Gyro Tourbillon. It's a lot of words, but it's well worth it. When you hear the chime sounding like Big Ben in a tourbillon, I mean, geez. Okay, so as I was saying, that the whole idea of having the dial separate to the tourbillon, I think in the case of a gyro tourbillon with everything else happening at once, one hell of a watch. Bark and Jack did a review. Check it out. I'm sure Adrian got some great shots of it. Awesome. Okay, so this watch so far is the show winner for me tonight. I mean, this looks like something from another world. Look how they've done the lugs on this piece. They've hollowed out the center, finished it in different ways. Oh, unbelievable. Gorgeous looking watch. Catching up with the chat again. Go anywhere but just go. And I don't know why guys are commenting. We've got 1, 2, 3s. We've got 7, 6s. So I guess we're all over the show. We're voting for something, but I don't think everyone knows what we're voting for. This really is, this is modern industrial design, everything into one package. Skeleton gyro tourbillon. Can it get any better? AP Royal Oak frosted gold. I must say, some of is the frosted gold, the whole idea of them finishing the body of the watch with that special machine, or is it hand? It's hand finished, if I'm not mistaken. So this piece, I think this is so cool. I've seen a few videos on it before, and I think it's just so charming having an anchor to tell you the power reserve and everything. Here's a picture of it on the wrist. Gorgeous looking watch. And the moon, a full 3-dimensional moon indicating spring tide. I mean, it's just too cool. Really interesting. So again, let's jump back to the, what is it? What did I miss? The AP frosted gold. I'm sure, I don't know if does this have a tourbillon? I'm sure there are tourbillon versions. Oh, there's a skeleton of this I remember seeing. I actually wanted to address the frosted gold, the whole approach of the way they finish their cases. How brilliant of an idea is it? When you think about the amount of money that goes into someone actually gem setting a watch, and the fact that it affects the value of the watches a lot of the time if it's done aftermarket. Isn't it cool that they can actually do this in-house and get the same kind of desired effect just out of finishing alone? It's not to everyone's taste, of course. I mean, I can understand that. It's very glitzy. But I think the whole idea of being able to get a process, you know, you're expressing the material in a different way. And that's when we talk about design and using the material in an interesting way. I think this is a really cool idea. They did a great job with this, just as an approach. It's not something that most people would wear. There's a question about the A384. I love the original. This watch. If you want, and the one watch that really ends the game. I did a whole video about Zenith. I think it was like 18 minutes long, and I run through the timeline. I do like a 5-minute documentary just covering the movement, which I never do. But the A384, the original El Primero, squared off case, it is absolutely, it's just something so cool. I love just the panda effect, the size, the scale. Look at it on the wrist, not ostentatious, out of the way. And this is a reissue. I think they only made a couple hundred of these. I'm sure they've all sold. Another thing that's good to point out is the emphasis on the size of the subdials. Notice how your running seconds and your 30 minutes is larger compared to the 12-hour section at the bottom. Much more usable as an everyday piece. There's a mention about a crazy reference, 11619. I'm going to get to that. I'll try and remember that. Sorry. And just to add, on top of this watch, the one that really sings to me, if I had to end a collecting spree, I would be going for the A386. Is that the reference? It is the reference I'm looking at, right? That is the one. I can't even remember. The solid gold, the gold piece with the standard dial. There is another version. Someone can help me out here with the reference. I'm sure it's the A386. The G381. Thank you, Sippy. Thank you. G381. Oh, this is end all, be all. If you want a Zenith El Primero, if you can find the reissue, there were only a few of these as well that were brought out. That is just such a character. And of course, you had tropical versions back in the day. I mean, these are the originals. Going a tropical brown on gold, it's just insane. Love it. It's interesting. Jay Sykes mentions the tricolor. The tricolor is really cool. I'm actually going to pull up another page on it. And I'm just going to say A386 because that's the original. The tricolor dial is really nice. It is a part of its allure, and it's what put the watch on the map. It's too faded to see very well on the screen. I think this is another reissue. Yeah. So these tricolors, I mentioned this in the video. I talk about how the red complements the blue and the gray. All the colors work together. I actually use a little color chart and show you how well they blend together. And it's sort of a toss-up between would you want this or would you want gold and the Panda dial. I'm much more drawn to the Panda dial. I think it's just that contrast between the black, the gold, the red. How can you not like this thing? Talking about Zenith. Yeah, we're going around here. The tricolor 1969. I'm sure that's the A386, right? Let's have a look. I only did the video a few weeks ago, so I should remember this. Oh, just the standard. Okay, so this is like the reissue, right? Give me a good res picture. This is on large settings. It's the 38mm size. I think Monsignor Neo, that we all know and love, he has one of these pieces, and it's a beaut. I think this is another A386. They really are something special. Just as chronographs, you know, the whole history behind the name and the brand and the movements. I mean, look at that. They had a really cool understanding of proportion and things back then with regards to the subdials, the spacing, the size. 36,000 vibrations per hour. So that seconds hand sweeps like a knife through butter. It is so smooth. Not a single bit of stutter. Anyway, trying to keep up here. Chatting about Zenith pieces. Okay, so I don't know how we got to Zeniths, but it's pretty sweet. I mean, they are something else, something to admire. So what was on my mind? I was thinking of something a second ago. Slipped. That whole Virgin thing really threw me off with the Wi-Fi tonight. I actually want to see what happened. It sounded like the chat was going while I was off. The stream just sunk like the Titanic for a little while. El Primero is like a classic Ferrari. You buy the engine, you throw it, and they throw in the body. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm going to get to this reference. Did a leg? I want your guys' names to be easy to pronounce. 1166 95 SATS. Oh yes, yeah. This wins it for me. I don't know what we're talking about. Gyro, Tourbillon, JLCs. You know, this watch wins the show for me tonight. Of all watches, I think this Yachtmaster has to be one of the. I don't mind the Rainbow Daytona. I think the Rainbow Daytona is pretty cool. We're just jumping around like we normally do. I think that's the bonus of having fast internet, he says, as his internet cuts out. I don't mind the Rainbow Daytona that much, all things considered. Like the colors, I think this whole effect, it's really a work of art getting the bezel to do that. But this, I mean, a Yachtmaster, what were they thinking, right? Absolute, I just don't get it. Just don't get it at all. But hey, it looks like you're wearing a sweet shop on the wrist. So David, yes, Richard Lange, Tourbillon, Pour le Mérite. And speaking of which, there is a Patek that I want to look at just now. Lange. Let's get something. Oh, okay. Okay, I know this. This is the very traditional. Many people say, and that you said it was the Tourbillon that you wanted, eh? Let's see. Of course, the thing moves. we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so this is, I mean, this is just Lange personified. It's a very polarizing watch. I mean, when I think of the Zeitwerk, I think these two watches fall into the same kind of category, right? So I don't know so much about the styling. It's very traditional in the way it presents itself. The tri-dial layout. It's interesting, but it is very polarizing, very much like the Zeitwerk. Very traditional. The hour track retracts in something. Wow, I didn't know that. Are we talking about this crazy Lange piece? It's a cool looking watch. It really is traditional. Looks like a scaled down pocket watch in many ways. So what was the other watch I was? Oh, there's a Patek that I wanted to look at actually. So the Sweet Shop Rolex, I'm not so keen on. The Patek 3939 was a watch that I wanted to look at the other day. This has got to be the most understated stealth wealth Patek you'll ever see. I don't know if anyone knows of this piece. Breguet numerals, Breguet hands, looks very simple, right? And the magic is when you turn it around and you have a fully set minute repeater and a tourbillon at the back. This is, I mean, it's just nuts. There's a video by, this watch has only been covered by like one channel, I think. And it is, check that out. I love the simplicity. You know, Patek is known for their simplicity, and that's where they like to stay. I think the black dial is even cooler. Check that out. And apparently these serial numbers are very important. They block out the serials. So it's very simple, very understated, and all the mechanics is at the back of the movement. Let's see if I can get a good picture of the layout. I mean, it's just mad. I'm pretty sure this rotates as the minute repeater works. So simple, so clean. It's gorgeous. And I think it's one of the most understated Patek Philippe's I've ever seen with regards to the layout of the two. So I'm just catching up. I'm stealing 20 minutes of super chat. Generally I run my streams until 1 in the morning, so I don't know what's going on with the streams at the moment. Have I lost an hour or something? It's 20 past 12 here in the UK, so I'm supposed to be going until 1 in the morning, and then that's cutoff time. So don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. So anyway, gorgeous looking watch. I think the layout is cool. Since we're talking about tourbillons and everything else, and then we suddenly jump to rainbow Daytonas and everything in between. What else is there? Oops. Any more comments on watches you'd like to see? Oh, daylight savings. We lost. Oh, that's it. We lost an hour, didn't we? Oops. I didn't think of that. That's my mistake. Okay. Well, we can call it the end of a show in 10 minutes or so, because I mean, it's been one hell of a week for me. It's been a very busy week. So we can cut it if you guys would like to stay on, if you'd like to go somewhere else. By all means, please. You don't have to stay. I mean, there was over 100 people watching a while ago, and the stream cut. It's come back. 8 in the morning in Singapore at the moment. Chopard, LUC, XPS, Spirit of Nature. Gee, like these names. Can't they make them simple? Just a simple reference number. Let's pull them up. We can end the stream in 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be too long tonight. Kind of the whole Breguet Classique horror Monday. The whole cutting of the internet sort of put me off, actually. It's very irritating. Quite upset that it happened. It's a cool looking watch. Nice having the time zone, the whole time zone system integrated at the base. Nice and out of the way. Slap Michael Kors on that. Thanks, Andreas. Seiko Samurai. Jeez, there's so many things going around. Okay, we can jump to Seiko. Let's have a look at a Seiko Samurai for a change. I mean, geez, we're running through everything else. There's so many Seiko references that I haven't covered that I need to discuss, because, I mean, I've looked at mainly the Pro specs and some of their basic, the SKX lines and everything else. The Samurai, I think what defines the Samurai is the handset, if I'm not mistaken. That's a very characteristic arrow hand that they use on the pieces. There's a question about what do I think of the Era tourbillon? Geez, never heard of it before. So I can't really give you much info about it. Let's have a look. Tourbillon. Geez, these names. Oh my. And of course, they won't give me any high-res pictures to look at. Is this the watch that was advertised by producer Michael, if I'm not mistaken? I think I saw this on his show. They were talking about this watch being the cheapest tourbillon to own. I might be completely wrong. I don't know. It's a stainless steel piece. I don't know. Again, I'm not, when it comes to movements, I'm not your guy. I'm a design guy. I like looking at the aesthetics. I like looking at the build. The crown is a big part of the samurai. Thank you. So yeah, jumping back to the Seiko, interesting looking watch. I think the finishing's cool. I don't know much about them at all, but from what I've heard, I think it's a micro brand, and they're trying to be one of the cheapest tourbillons ever made. So that means, geez, good on them. Don't know how they do the engraving though. I don't know if that's in-house done or all the rest. Pretty cool looking watch though. I mean, that's what I've heard. The idea that it is the cheapest tourbillon money can buy. So the crown also being that typical knurling of the crown. It's very cool. It's what you would call it. What's the finish? My terms, not billet. I don't know what you would call that finish. But geez, that's a cool looking watch. When it comes to a dive watch, it really is something. It's a pleasure. Y2K. Sorry about, I really don't know much about them. If I had studied up a little bit, did some more research into them, I'd be able to give you some more info. As far as I know, here we go. Here's a good image. Jewel Sun Moon, flying tourbillon, 21 joules, 28,000 beats per minute. Does it really need to be 28,000 for something like a tourbillon? I find that when watches don't have running seconds hands, you don't need such a fast beat rate, but that's just me. The slower beat rate helps with saving power reserve too, right? Have I ever done a video on the SKX, Dan Roque? Yes, I have. A long time ago, I think the title was, if you just open up a tab, Dan, and type in why is the Seiko SKX so loved? I think that's the title. DC, okay, I can read it. I can read it, DC, why so? How did you make your Steinhardt bezel bidirectional? When I had the watch, I basically forced it to be bidirectional by turning it until the ratchet broke, and that was the result. I made it bidirectional, Tippy. That was a interesting exercise. I decided to just destroy the thing, basically bastardize it. I polished the sides, tried to shrink the proportions down, and basically overworked the bezel so much that I got it to turn the other direction. So what you can do is just try and force it in the opposite direction. I know it's not conventional. When it comes to working with your hands, you pretty much make anything do what you want to do at the end of the day. So that was it. Laurent Ferrier, Secret Tourbillon in something. Thank you for the suggestion. Let's see. I think I will cut the stream at past because it's been a bit of a flat. I'm really so upset that the stream decided to cut like that. It just shouldn't happen. That is something else. Love the sectors dial, the different finishing. Love the brushing around. That's gorgeous. Who suggested this? In something. Thank you for the suggestion. Stunning looking piece. And Laurent Ferrier with their assegai. I love saying assegai styled hands because that's the world I'm from. That is so typical of an assegai spear. And the bridge and everything, I mean, that's just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. That's not the one. Oops, it has a retracting screen. Oh, geez. What is the reference you said again? Laurent Ferrier, Secret Tourbillon. This guy. Oh, I see. Radial. Okay, so what happens over time? Does that screen actually expand and contract? There are some amazing hidden windows and things they incorporate into movements. I'm guessing this is all hand enameled, as you would probably expect. Absolutely gorgeous watch. Let's see. We are running to Mr. Marcus. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I don't know. The stream cut out halfway through tonight, and it really got on my nerves. Virgin Media decided, of all nights, let's just cut the stream at the most optimal time. Virgin Media decided to cut the internet. So too cool. Submariner C. Yeah, that's that episode. I'd love to do more episodes with regards to combining two watches together. I have one actually prepared with regards to the Daytona and the Speedmaster. Very controversial, but I've actually created the watch and it's all ready to go. I just need to prepare the video and make it. But Laurent Ferrier has something special about the IDGuy hands and everything else. It's a gorgeous looking watch. Cushion case. They've really developed their own style with these pieces. Curtis, from your layover. Thomas Burnett, thank you. Long super chat. Respect us as always. Yeah, it really got to me tonight, Thomas. The thing is, when it cut, I didn't know if it was the laptop catching up, if it was, didn't know what was going on. And for everyone who's joining, if anyone new is joining, we've been discussing this watch at length tonight. You can go to the beginning of the stream again and see what the discussion was about in the beginning. Thank you so much for the super chat, Thomas. And I've been meaning to get back to you in the emails. I've been so bad. I'm studying for an exam happening at the end of this month. So my videos and time has been put in other places. But the new audio format that I've been running with on some of these videos streamlines the process, makes life a lot easier. Anyway, what else should we look at? There were some more suggestions that I missed. Fears watch. Tippy, thank you for the suggestions tonight. Fears watch. Oh, wow. That's very cool. I mean, that has the same kind of feeling of a field watch from back in the day. Cushion case. It doesn't take a lot of effort to make something interesting. Design doesn't have to be about garishness or just mad. This simple approach of a simple numeral layout, skeleton hands, subdial, cushion case, onion crown, looks like a piece from the 40s. And what really divides it is the whole is the proportions. I can see what they've done. This is a reissue, a recreation. Great improvement. Done a really good job here, perfecting, getting the size a little bit more contemporary, scaling it up. Reminds you of the VC. Kind of does, Andreas. It reminds me of the what is it called? The racing, the 1928. I might as well pull it up as well. It's the what's it called? The VC 1928. I'm pretty sure that's a reference. What was that? Vacheron Constantin. No, that's not the reference I'm looking for. It's that racing chronograph. There it is. Missed it. That guy. Perfect for someone who wears a watch on their left wrist. If you wear it on a right wrist, absolute mess. Curtis, I think I have seen, I really apologize about the emails. I've been so bad. I reply to maybe one a week. It's terrible. But Curtis, I will have a look. I will flag your name and I will be sure to check. I'm getting too many emails lately and I miss a lot of them. So thank you. I will go and have a look. And there's a mention about a Hamilton W10. Sure thing. Too cool. Love the watch. I mean, these field watches, there's not much needed to be said about them. I think the reissue is just as cool. I really like the idea of these brands bringing back these reissued pieces from the 70s, late 60s. And the Hamilton basically was phased out for the CWC, and the CWC pieces used Hamilton movements. Great story. Driving watch, that's it. Thank you, Tippy. Anyway, so I don't know what we should do with the stream. I think I'm pretty keen on ending it tonight, actually. Hasn't been a good one, but we can do another one next week, and I'll be sure to have time set up a little bit better and just hope the internet freaking works out. What do you guys think? It's been a bit of a day. Interesting thing about this watch is the production year, the Hamilton history. Yeah, true. I mean, it is really quite a history. The whole timeline, I love it. And the video that I did on mil-spec pieces and all of that, it really was abbreviated. There's so much more that happened behind the scenes with regards to just the models that were coming out of the US at the time and everything else. So Yeah, it's too cool. So yeah, everyone, I'm really irritated that the stream cut, but I'm glad I was able to come back on and chat to everyone. But yeah, we'll get this sorted out next week. I hope the internet doesn't do this again and rash me. So we chatted about tourbillons, we chatted about this crazy auctioned piece, bits and pieces in between, lots of references. That was great. And everyone, thank you so much for joining. It really was, yeah, not a very good evening, but hey, I try my best to plan these and get them as well prepared as possible. And then something out of your control happens and puts you off, and that's life though, right? I'm going to switch over to stop sharing the screen and just say my last goodbyes to everyone. But thank you, everyone. I don't know how long was the stream? 95 minutes. It's a short one. Again, apologies for the internet cutting out. I'm sure it was a bit strange, but hilarious. Lots of videos are coming out next week. I've prepared 3 separate videos, and I think you're going to enjoy them. Panerai, Apple Watch, IWC, lots of variety. So yeah, that's about it for the night, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining, and have a great weekend. If anyone in the UK is celebrating Remembrance Day tomorrow, it's a very, very important day. I should say in the world. It's a big day for the world, and tremendous history. So everyone, thank you so much again. And for all the comments, for all the super chats, you guys are great. I love the community. Please keep your eyes fixed on the community post, because that's generally where I tend to always just post what's going on, what the next video is going to be premiering and everything else. But yeah, tomorrow is another studying day for me. And everyone enjoy your weekend. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers for now.